Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so congratulations, Laker fans. We are in the play-in tournament. We are playing the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight, and they're missing pretty much everybody not named Anthony Edwards. It's really strange how this is all planned out with this particular team, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I encourage everybody to go check out the videos that I had leading up to this one, talking about the Timberwolves, because I spoke on my opinions on everything that I see over there, but I'm not going to break that down right now because I got a fresh mind of homework and things that I have written down for the game that we're seeing tonight. But just know that I'm still kind of confused at how all of this panned out for their team, with Rudy going to be out tonight with a suspension. He punched his teammate Kyle Anderson, who will be available tonight. And then, of course, you're looking at a situation where McDaniels punched a wall. He said that he didn't know that there was a wall behind the curtain. He was just swinging at the curtain and broke his hand, fractured two bones in his hand. So he will be out for the entire playoffs. And so this is a situation where you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves and say, well, how are you going to make up for what it is that's missing? Obviously, you're going up against a Laker team with a lot of size. So, it's a situation where they're just going to have to put on the floor who they have, probably run some small ball lineups. Honestly, they are a better offensive team without Rudy Gobert. They played, it was significantly, more flow to their offense when they were lining up against the New Orleans Pelicans and had him off of the floor. But they can't defend in that situation at all. So you saw a situation where BI went for 42 points. And so that type of thing is just like, you could probably see Anthony Davis having a massive night tonight because of that lack of defense down there with Rudy and McDaniels not being on the floor. And you couple that with the absence of Naz Reid, who's been out for a couple of weeks with a wrist. He will not be returning either. So it's like their team is just depleted, and it's probably the worst time for them to try to play a one-and-done type of situation. So the Lakers just lucked out. Everything fell into place perfectly for us to have a very, very soft play-in game that we should easily win. Honestly, we really should. But the thing about it is, we understand that we've been playing some teams, Phoenix Suns, who else was it? Rockets, that we've struggled with. Several other teams that we've played as of late, the Utah Jazz twice, where we've just struggled with their benches and their third string guys consistently this past couple of weeks. So it's one of those things where you look at this and you say, this is yet another one of those teams with that type of circumstance, and you expect our team to kind of dumb it down and struggle, even though they're going to have such significant advantages on the floor. We've had significant advantages in all of these matchups, and we've still found ourselves playing close games and leaning on players that could do very little for us, and leaning on strategies that probably won't win in 3 games in the NBA, and have just lucked out and got victories. In the last game, LeBron James shot 14 threes, hit 8 of them. I don't expect we're going to see that tonight, but if he does attempt 14 threes, I certainly don't expect he's going to hit 8 of them. I am encouraged that he's got his rhythm, and I am encouraged he's comfortable being aggressive, scoring the ball in whatever way necessary. He's hit 3-point shots, more so probably than anybody else, because he's got more points than anybody else, having broken the record for the all-time scoring earlier this year. I want to see him come out tonight and have a bit more patience as it pertains to other players having the ball outside of what it is that he's controlling. It was too much walking the ball up, as we've complained about, and too much three-point shooting overall in that last matchup. 45 three-point shots attempted. This team that we're playing tonight would love for us to do that, because that pulls us away from the rim and away from the strengths that we have against them. We need to be in the paint today. We need to be driving at the rim with guys like Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, who's now finally off the injury report, very happy about that. Bron James, who can put the ball on the floor even though he's not healthy yet. He can do more of that for us if necessary. And then guys who can do that for us. Now, Rui Hachimura, we want him doing that, but we need him to understand that his handle has a ways to go. So he's going to get called for charging calls in the playoffs if he attacks the way he did in one of their 2 possessions that I saw in the previous matchup. He put his head down and wasn't thinking about pass or nothing. And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times you get called for an offensive foul. So I just want to see us kind of not have him in those type of situations too often unless he's coming at an angle that doesn't allow for such things. Uh, yeah, that's something that stood out to me. I'm glad I thought of that now. But I do want us to ramp up his role and give him more opportunities to score the ball for us. His offense is always something that we can take advantage of. So tonight, you're looking at a guy, Anthony Edwards, who typically has not played well against the Lakers. Um, but he has played well against everybody else, and he made an all-star team this year, so we need to respect his shooting ability, his athleticism, his defensive ability. He's an all-around superstar coming into his own as we speak, and it's unfortunate for him that his team is completely imploded right before the play-in tournament game. But this is a feature for him, a night where he's going to be, all eyes are going to be on him on the Laker floor for something, playing for something, and I think he may step up to the challenge and give us a lot to work against. So I'm definitely, keying in on him, obviously, since he's going to be the number one guy on the floor anyway, no matter who's on the floor for them. And understanding that his shooting ability and his ability to get hot and stay hot is real. He steals the ball as well, so turnovers are just going to happen against this team. I told y'all that 3 months ago when we played against them and lost in our building. They came in and made things very difficult for us, and we did not have a particularly good night from Rui Hachimura. They're shooting the ball as well, so certain tendencies are just popping up in my head as I remember. But the one tendency that we do need to respect in this matchup for certain is that Anthony Davis absolutely owns the Minnesota Timberwolves. He scored 38 against them, 30 against them, and another 37 or something like that. Whether we winning or losing, he tends to find his scoring bag against this team this season. So that's really, really encouraging given the fact that he ain't going to be guarded by Rudy. And Carl is somebody that is not known for playing defense very much at all. So that's what is going to be interesting. Plus, Carl Town, believe it or not, is questionable for this matchup, although I expect to see him down there. But he's dealing with a left leg, and it is up in the air for him. Everybody on our team is playing pretty much. Bron, AD, and D'Lo are listed as probable on the injury report. They're playing. So that's one of those type of things. All right, what I did was I wrote down a list of players that are on this Minnesota team that are back of the bench guys that you are definitely, going to have to look out for. They're not stars or even really regular rotationals, but there will be tonight. It's that kind of thing because of so much that's being removed from that team. Now, the coach very well may just go with a small ball lineup. Especially if Carl's down there, go with like 6 or 7 guys and just play only them. But the options to go to other players will be available to him, and we should probably know who these guys are. So the first one I wrote down is Nathan Knight, 6'8", 253-pound, three. He can shoot the 3-ball, man. This is a guy who shoots 36% on the arc this year, behind the arc this year, and it's kind of a power forward / center combination. So they would be wise to give him some minutes tonight to give themselves a little size, even though he's clearly undersized, 6'8", 253. That's kind of what we do with Winyon every night. So they would be wise to give him some minutes tonight. Also a guy by the name of Josh Minott, who is a power forward center just the same. I don't think I wrote down, yeah, I did, 6'8", 205, much less weight there. That's why I would go with Nathan Knight if I were them. But Josh Minott is somebody that they use as a center. They're grooming to be a center, and I'm not sure if they'll use him tonight or not, but it would probably be somebody that we should be careful not to leave open from behind the arc. He can shoot about 33%, so, he's not somebody you just leave back there. That's basically what I'm saying. Wendell Moore Jr. is a guard that they have. His stats didn't really show us a whole lot to be impressed with, but I don't think he gets a whole lot of minutes either. So he's just a developing player that they may have to throw out there just to have another body. Who else? Luka Garza is a center that they have who's listed as out. Last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves released an injury report that had Luka Garza not playing. But I'm telling you, if they got any sense in their dang minds, they would change that right away. Now, I know he's on a two-way or something like that. He's on some type of contract like that, but that needs to be read up for tonight if they got any shot of being able to match up the way they're going to need to. That's the only pure center on the roster outside of Karl Anthony Towns, who may be questionable. So I would imagine if Karl's out, they may make the decision to activate him if possible. Now, if there's some contractual stuff that makes it not possible, forget I said anything. But he's listed as out, and he's actually the only center that's potentially available. So that is interesting to me. Also, Matt Ryan is listed as out. They got him in street clothes in this matchup when everybody's moved out of the lineup. I don't know how that works since he's literally won a game for the Los Angeles Lakers. You definitely are happy that he's not going to be playing tonight if you're the LA Lakers. I'm happy that y'all don't want to sit Matt Ryan when he's going to be fired up to play against his old team that quit on him after he had won a game at the buzzer for us when we only got like 3 or 4 wins this season. Yeah, I would definitely want to utilize that piece if I were their coach. Ain't no way he's not playing tonight. Tonight? Oh, hell yeah, he's out there. So don't expect for things to stay the same is what I'm telling you. Because if they are strategizing with victory in mind, which I don't know if they actually are. They're probably coming in thinking they're probably just going to have to play against OKC and New Orleans, to be honest with you. But see, I think a certain way. So even with the little bit that I have, if I'm Minnesota, I'm still trying to strategize a way to actually win this game. So if they're thinking like that, then these are the things that they're going to do. You got to look out for Jordan McLaughlin, who's definitely going to be on the floor tonight. He's struggled a lot against us, but I've also seen him play well in the past, so I know what he can do. He's a guy who can steal the ball. He's also a guy who can score a little bit, shoot a little bit, but he's just having a bad season. And I don't know how much faith they have in him right now, but expect to see him on the floor just the same, a point guard, Jordan McLaughlin. Also, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a player who's definitely going to get a lot of playing time tonight. He may even get the start. And that's SGA's cousin. We know SGA, all-star of the OKC Thunder. He's going to be down there tonight playing some meaningful basketball in a playing tournament just like his cousin. So I'd expect for him to have a pretty solid night. And he's a player who's capable of playing much better than we've seen him play over the last several years. He's been in various situations that knocked him all over the league. But this is a night where he can make a name for himself on a big stage with a lot of minutes. So I expect Nickeil Alexander-Walker to play very well and ignore the stats in regards to a player like that. He's much better than we've seen, and I've seen him do good things. So I have a healthy concern for him popping tonight in a way that makes it so that we're not having a very comfortable evening. So he's one of those small ball players shooting 38% from behind the arc. He's one of the ones that they're wise, they'll lean on him for some of their bench play and then a lot of their stuff that they're going to be doing. So, yeah, very important player in this particular matchup, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Got that part out. Of course, Conley, Edwards, Prince, and Slow-Mo. That's the main guys. Those are the main guys. Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Taurean Prince, and Kyle Anderson, the guy that got socked in the chest. I expect Kyle Anderson to be the guy who's going to be looking to rebound the ball a lot along with Anthony Edwards. Since they're going to be in small ball situations, they're going to be in very physical situations. And since they're going to be smaller, the referees are going to either choose to call fouls in their favor or not. Now, one thing for sure is the Minnesota Timberwolves foul a lot. But with so many players removed from the lineup, how much of their tendencies still carry over based on those players who just won't be down there, who may or may not contribute to those things? I don't know. But it's a lot of players removing and a lot of players going in, so I don't really trust tendencies as it pertains to that. But overall, this is one of the more fouling teams in the league, and we're the most fouled team in the league, particularly driving at the rim. So I'd expect us to go to that as a means of just taking this team out. We ain't got to shoot too much. Just drive at the rim. Fouls should be called because they're too small to do anything other than foul us. And so that's what's going to happen. We're going to be at that free throw line a lot. And we should just run the score up and have some garbage time at the end of this game. That's truly what I think. But because they have such intelligent basketball players that are going to be the focal point of what they do, we need to be very careful to see that we don't make silly mistakes against them because they're wounded. Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Taurean Prince, and Slow-Mo are very smart players. Also, Jordan Noel, ex-Laker, I mention him every time we play him. He's questionable tonight with a left knee. He's kind of wounded. If he were 100%, I would feel that much better about what our competition would be tonight. But with him also banged up, if they throw him out there, probably, with the left knee, I don't know. So I don't expect to see too much of him tonight if he's not 100%. But that's again, an ex-Laker who has something to prove against us. Anything they can look for on the bulletin board, they would be wise to use. Jalen Noel, Matt Ryan, all these ex-Lakers. You want them on the floor if you're Minnesota. So I don't know if they know that, but it is what it is. Another one of those situations, I'm looking and I say, okay, Austin Rivers, that's also somebody they've taken out of rotation over the last several weeks. He's exactly who I want in this situation against anybody because he's going to play with a certain level of, anger and chip on his shoulder that's going to resonate amongst the rest of the guys and give you the, um, you know, Cinderella type energy. So, I don't know how they're thinking, but I'm telling all of my Laker fans and anybody who watches me that these are things that I know are there for them to try to draw inspiration from. And although they don't have the size to guard against us, what they can do is put 5 shooters on the floor who are very intelligent and spread the floor offensively and try to run the score up from behind the arc. And if we defend them the way that we've been defending behind the arc, it could be a situation. It could be a situation. You could find yourself getting out to a slow start where they hit 5 threes in a row if they get hot, and you're trying to fight your way back in it. Now, it shouldn't be no problem for us to get back in it immediately with how shallow of a team they should be out there. And with the ability to get rebounds, nobody taller than basically 6'10". If Luka Garza plays, if not, no one taller than 6'8". This is a situation where even if they get out to some type of lead like that, it's too much time left. They're just going to get devoured by the rebounding and stuff. So this is one of the most improbable games as it pertains to upsets that you will ever see. They just don't have the size to beat us, and we got entirely too talented players with under too much stress to win this game, to lose this game. LeBron James and Anthony Davis going up against a lineup like this? Nah, Austin Reeves, an inspired player like that. And you look at a guy like Rui Hachimura, who should be featured a little bit tonight. Then the Schroeder, who's now healthy again. I mean, we just got too much. And then the 3 Minnesota Timberwolves players who want nothing more than to send them out of here in D'Angelo Russell, Beasley, and Vando. So I mean, it's not a whole lot to look at in regards to what this game looks like on paper. This should be a very, very, very easy win for the Lakers. In fact, I could argue this might be an easier challenge than the Suns gave us with their bench, depending on if Karl plays. Now, if Karl plays, it's an entirely different conversation, which is why this is relevant. If Karl plays and he looks like he did in the last game, he hit 5 threes, 30-something points. He's capable of rebounding. He's an all-star. So we need to respect him in a pressured moment. This is his team, even though they've thrown a bunch of players on top of him like Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards. In his mind, this is Minnesota. It's his team. And so in my mind, I'm looking at him saying, we're not missing nothing if I'm out here and I got my running mate, Anthony Edwards. This should be what the franchise should be running around anyway. They should have pieces that complement those two if they were doing things correctly to begin with. And then they got Mike Conley, who's a good piece to that. Taurean Prince, who's a solid piece of that. And Slow-Mo, who's capable of playing like an all-star on a lot of nights. On a night like tonight, he definitely may. He's going to rebound more. He's definitely going to get assists, and he's going to score the ball. So Slow-Mo, I expect to have like a triple-double tonight. And Mike Conley, somebody's probably going to go up to about 30 points tonight because he's going to have all the shots to take, and he's very efficient. And the thing is, how is he affected by the lack of size on the floor? Him trying to drive to the rim ain't going to work for him. So he's going to have to shoot jumpers, and as to which we're going to have opportunities to guard them in ways it's not going to be very comfortable for them. So, like I said, it's going to be hard for Conley and Edwards and those guys to do what they need to do, even though they have Karl Towns down there. Karl Towns going to have to play like a big man. He just ain't like that. He's more of a three-point shooter who can do big things if necessary, but you kind of want him hovering around the rim, away from the rim in some situations offensively at this point, and that's what we're not going to allow for them to do tonight. If they're running him properly and he's down there with a bad knee, he's going to have to bang with AD. He's going to have to bang with Bamba. He's going to have to bang with whoever we use, Winion. That's not going to work out for him. Way too many offensive rebounds, way too many defensive rebounds, one-and-done situations for their team. I mean, if they don't hit the shot, we're getting the board, we're going the other way. So we're just going to overpower them tremendously. This looks bad for Minnesota. And, as a Laker fan, I'm happy I take the win. The only thing I'm worried about is us overpowering them, risking our best players' health for no reason. That's my thing. In a game like this, we usually pull our starters out of it. You know what I mean? We don't even play our starters in a game like this. If we know we got this little talent to go up against, you know what I mean? But in a situation like this where it's a play-in tournament game, where you're playing for your playoff life, you can't afford to not have Bron and AD out there being the centerpiece of what you do. And because of that, you can get trapped into a situation where you have them on the floor for no reason. And we've already done that. We saw that with the back-to-back, and AD had him on the floor down the stretch of a game. You know what I mean? We had already lost. The game was over. And we still had him on the floor running around. So it's like, for me, I think that's what it is. I would much rather for the Los Angeles Lakers to lean in on D'Angelo Russell, lean in on Austin Reeves, and let AD's size just kind of take over this game. I don't need LeBron to do too much. Honestly, I know he's going to look to because that's just the zone he's in right now. Prove everybody wrong zone. But I'd rather him prove everybody healthy zone to be the more, prove us to be the smartest team on the floor zone. That's what I want to see. Um, get AD the ball, get Austin Reeves the ball, get out the way, let them shoot, man. I'm telling you, stay healthy because we're going to need you for Memphis. You're going up against Lofton, you're going up against Jackson. We're going to need to be healthy for Memphis. I'm telling you right now, because I do not expect to lose this game, which means we do need to expect to play against a physical team there. So, again, for me, I think we can win this game if we set those guys. But I would never set those guys because there's too much on the line. But we do need to limit what it is that's necessary. If they don't need to be on the floor, don't keep them out there. If we're able to dominate this team without AD and Bron, they shouldn't play more than 15 minutes. Seriously. Call on them where necessary, is basically what I'm saying. Other than that, just beat this Minnesota team. Take Anthony Edwards very seriously. Very seriously, because he can go for 50 tonight, so take him seriously. Other than that, it's gonna be hard. They're gonna have a difficult time just trying to put players on the floor that can play with one another based on how much is removed from their lineup. That's the reality of it. They're gonna have a hard time with each other, more so than they will with us. That kind of thing. So it's like, I ain't worried about them. All I'm worried about is us not showing up because of this. You know what I mean? They ain't nothing to worry about if you take them seriously. You're out of here by halftime. But if you don't take them seriously, any cluster of NBA players can beat you, especially the way we strategize. So that's the reality of it. If we want to lean on players that can't hit shots, and then we bring in another lineup of players that can't really defend, and we dumb it down, there's a lot of different ways to lose. And we've seen all of them this year. So that's really what it comes down to. This should be an easy, pressured game, which is something you don't see very often. But the Lakers got that type of blessing, so we can take advantage of it. So that's what I got. That's where my head goes in regards to this game. I watched highlights on the Minnesota Timberwolves, as I always do, but it's all irrelevant when you consider how much is being removed from that team. Their best defensive players, their best rebounders, all gone. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I actually looking at? Okay, I'm looking at Anthony Edwards drive at the rim. Cool. But I'm also looking at Rudy Gobert being down on his weak side. It's like that's not there. Okay, I see Anthony Edwards driving at the rim, getting a rebound. Cool. But who's boxing out the other guy? McDaniel's boxing out the other. So it's like, without that stuff on the floor, you can't even really imagine who they're going to beat against you. They're an entirely different team. And while I think they can run small ball and be pretty good, in fact, that's what got them back in the game against New Orleans. We ain't New Orleans. That's one thing. And that was only for portions at the time of the game, not the whole damn game. And so that's just what it is, man. You just have to hate this for Minnesota, even though you love it for us. You hate this for Minnesota. They've had a very good season. They're coming off a playoff berth, and you just want to see them have a real opportunity at competing, just like any other basketball team that plays well. And Anthony Edwards, I think, deserves better. I've said this already, and I'll say it again. Regardless of what happens tonight with their team, he should be in a much better situation than this. And I don't know who's in charge with making that happen. I don't know if it's Minnesota that needs to make changes or he needs to get out of there. But as a fan, I don't want to see our best talent in a situation like this. One of the best talents in the entire league is in a situation where his team just completely self-destructed right before the big game. In game 82, it's only 82 games, and in game 82, everything went wrong. And you look at how the team is constructed and all the future talent, all his future teammates are supposed to be running and jumping and gunning with him. They've all been mortgaged to the damn Jazz so that they can bring in a player that's not even available on a night where they only need him for what it is that this matchup would be about, which is stopping the interior defense of a guy like Anthony Davis and LeBron James and all of that. He ain't on the floor to do what it is that you mortgage the entire future to do in the most important time for him to be down there for your franchise. I mean, it's just like Anthony Edwards does not need to be in an environment where decisions like this are made, and then just mistakes like this ultimately transpire because of those mistakes as well. He don't need to be there. He need to be somewhere where they are preparing to meet his timeline with the players that complement what it is that he does. Not players that clog the lane, players that can't provide any weapon, strength from the perimeter, all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of players that they can't even rely upon when they need to. I'm looking at this list and I'm like, man, half of these dudes don't even get playing time. If they do have playing time, the upside probably ain't even. It's like Minnesota and their fan base deserve better, man. They deserve better from A-Rod and the ownership of that franchise. And he's a new owner, but he came in there and botched everything. That's the reality of it. People he chose to trust botched everything for their franchise. And as far as I can tell, they no longer should have Anthony Edwards. They should no longer have him. Because he's going to go out there tonight, potentially get hurt trying to dunk on Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? They got two centers they paying over $300 million, $200 million. One of them questionable with a leg. He just hit a bunch of threes in the last game. Man hit 5 threes in the last game. He ain't ready to play in a play-in tournament game. Against Anthony Davis, who cooks him every time you see him. I mean, Anthony Edwards deserves better. That's all there is to it. So that's where I'm coming from as a Laker fan. His opponent tonight, who's looking forward to seeing him lose, but not under these circumstances. Not when I know he is a talent that I call baby Michael Jordan, which is why this is offensive to me watching this fall apart on him like this, because he now has a chance to play in the playoffs to show us he's that. And he ain't even got a decent center on the fling, got decent teammates to play with. What are we talking about? And again, I get it. Injuries have a lot to do with what happened here. Nas Reed, broken wrist. McDaniels, broken hand. Ain't nothing, you know. But why was all of that just so much that ultimately removed any chance of him having a chance to play, compete in the damn play-in tournament game that he earned, along with his teammates, all the way up until this point? I mean, this ain't how that's supposed to go. It's just not. Not for a young player who may one day want to put his name up as one of the great players who knows what his talent and his gifts will allow him to accomplish in this league. But you look back on this season and just say, well, the organization just botched this one. That's all you're going to say. It was not within his control what happened in 2023 and 2024. 2022, 2023. He could have played the greatest he wanted to play. It didn't matter because the team just imploded right in front of him. If that would have happened to Michael, if it would have happened to Magic, if it would have, you know what I'm saying? If it would have happened to Kareem, if it would have happened to any of these players, it affects how we look at them. If that would have happened to the Detroit Pistons, how we look at Isaiah Thomas. You understand what I'm saying? These are the type of things, like, this is why I'm so hard on organizations and coaches and all. This is why, because I see the correlation of all of this, and it takes away from the talent's experience and their path in the league. Forget me, the fan, I'm not even there. The talent, the guys themselves, they don't get to compare themselves to great players, because when you start looking at 7 and 8 and 9 rings, it wasn't even possible. It wasn't even possible. When you start looking at the Bulls record and the Golden State records of 73 wins, you're going to have more scheduled losses than that. You're going to have more scheduled losses than those 8 and 9 losses they had. You know, your organization's going to back you into those losses. It's bad, and it's time for it to change. And this game is a black eye on the league. It's a reflection of all that's gone wrong and the things that they've neglected, trying to bring in betting and breeding and all this other stuff. This is why you're looking at a lineup like this. One thing leads to another. So I'm cool, man. I'm looking forward to being able to walk into our building and get an easy win against a team that's wounded. Hopefully we take them seriously, because wounded animals must be taken seriously. We know they can hurt us bad, so just go out there, respect the three-point line, respect the fact that they may try to dribble penetrate, swat everything they swat everything they send it in your way. Anthony Davis, Vanderbilt, swat everything they come in with. You know, if we have Bamba on the floor, Rui Hachimura, how well he's been playing, weak side Rui in the last game showed up, had a fantastic block at the rim off the weak side. I'm telling you, if he continues to think like that, we're going to feel very comfortable about putting him in that lineup. We're going to feel very comfortable about putting him in lineups, because that's really the Achilles heel. Can he help us on the weak side when we decide to go for with him in that lineup? And lately it's been a complete opposite of what it is that we were concerned with. So he needs to just keep that up throughout the playoffs. And if his defense shines in the playoffs, we need to increase his minutes in the playoffs. That's just really what it is. Austin Reeves, like I said, I want to see more Austin Reeves. I trust Austin. He's a killer. He's a winner. He's smart. So as the playoffs increase, we should be increasing our belief in him more so, not less. I know Bron's back. I understand that. But I need Austin Reeves to be able to make some plays and make some decisions. He's too smart to not take advantage of his angle. You understand what I'm saying? Too smart. We gotta empower that young fella and let him be a star level player, a third or fourth guy behind D'Lo, if that's what it's gonna be. But that's what we need to do. If we're gonna win, It's going to be his heart and his intelligence that's going to assist with whatever their star is going to do. And if they don't have him, we ain't going to win. I'm telling you right now, we need Austin Reeves to win. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So tonight he's going to be important. It's going to be a soft matchup for him potentially. He should be able to attack whoever's in front of him and go to work. And I expect for him to have a big night, both passing the ball, rebounding the ball, and shooting the ball. It's a big night for Austin Reeves. And D'Lo as well, since he's an ex-Timberwolf. Obviously, we're going to have the emphasis on ex-Timberwolf. So Beasley, please, hit your shots. 10 minutes max, buddy. Anything you can get done should be done in 10 minutes. We played against the Timberwolves, played him 10 minutes, won the game. That's a recipe for success. He can get it done in 10 minutes. And if he can't, that's a small enough sample size to know when to move on from him. 10 minutes. So that's how I'm looking at it, man. No games. It's the play-in tournament now. You know, we're here now. This is not just must win. No, you will go home if you don't win. It's that kind of thing. You know, ain't too many more tomorrows. You lose this game, then you got one more game to play. You lose that game, that's your season. So although we got a soft matchup out here, like I said, anything can happen. You got a guy like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, shoot 48%. Conley can shoot 40%. Edwards can shoot 40%. Bam. All of a sudden, they ran up 15 threes against you. Do you have an answer for it? You better. These are the things you got to be thinking about, man. What if Nathan Knight wants to go for a career-high 20 points? We prepared? Josh Minott, are we prepared? These are the things that I wrote these names down for this reason. You know, I don't want to be caught off guard. Jordan Noel is questionable with a left knee. Does that mean he can't play well? Absolutely not. We take him seriously. He's an ex-Laker. He don't like us. It's the type of things we're thinking about. You know what I mean? So, Matt Ryan, if he suits up, don't expect him not to get 10 points. Don't expect him not to hit 2 or 3 threes. You know, inspired ex-Lakers. So, that's where my head is, man. Jordan McLaughlin ain't catching me off guard. He's going to steal the ball. Be ready for that. You know, so I don't expect a whole lot of efficiencies. These guys are not used to doing a whole lot. They don't particularly account for a whole lot for their team a lot of the time. So, again, if they shorten their bench, you know who you're seeing. Anthony Edwards should have the ball in his hands most of the time. Slow-mo should have the ball in his hands quite a bit. Conley, quite a bit. So those are the guys we need to have our schemes against. Those are the guys we're expecting to spread the floor for them. All they can do is shoot. That's it. Jump shots, that's it. If they're getting inside the paint, something is going terribly wrong. If they're able to score, out-rebound us, something is going terribly wrong. It just should not be able to be possible. So that's what I'm looking at, man. It's a play-in tournament game. We're here. We made it. We earned our way. We started 2-10. We fought our way back. We hovered around 500. We ended 4 games above 500. It's a good season for what it is that we started with, for what we were dealing with, having known we needed to make a trade in order to get a team that was good enough to play meaningful basketball. We got that trade done. It was better than we thought, and we are in a space where now half of those players played on this team that we're going up against tonight. So we should have especially great bulletin board material and all different types of stats that tell us this should be an easy win for the Lakers at home in Anxiety Arena tonight. It's 7 o'clock, I believe. So that's what it is, man. That's really what I have to say. I'm not overly thrilled about the Minnesota games that I watch highlights of. They beat the Nets. Did they win that game? I think they won that game. Yeah, they won that game on the road in a pretty strong effort where I thought Royce O'Neal played one of the best games I've seen him play. That was crazy. How well he was playing. But ultimately, I took away more from the Nets than I did Minnesota, which is why I don't really want to talk about that game. But they also played against, who else they played, man? The Spurs had a pretty solid matchup against the Spurs, even though the tanking Spurs are the tanking Spurs. What you saw was just more of what it is that you ain't going to see. McDaniels doing what he does. Rudy Gobert rebounding the ball. Anthony Edwards very hot out there. And, that carried over to the next game where, of course, they just had that situation with New Orleans. And all hell broke loose, but they found a way to still win the game. Anthony Edwards coming off of 8 turnovers is important. They turned the ball over a lot. 17 turnovers in the last matchup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's something that we could kind of take advantage of with their guards and everything being the focal point of what they do. We could force some steals against Anthony Edwards, send it the other way, turn defense to offense, win an easy game. So those are the things that I wanted to mention. They had a game against the Portland Trail Blazers where Portland came into their house and Shaedon Sharpe was able to go to work on them despite having a very close game. It was something historic about that game that they said it was, but I couldn't figure anything out. I don't know. But something big happened in regards to that matchup, even though the score was only 107, 108. But whatever the case may be, Portland got them, and I thought that was pretty impressive on their end. So that's kind of what it was. That's really why I didn't want to talk too much about those Minnesota games too much. Is because since they removed so many players from the matchup today, looking at them, I don't think I took as much from, more so than I took from the opponents they were going against. So that's kind of what I can honestly say. We're not going to see any of what it is I was looking at in regards to that team. But we know what we will see because we prepared, and that's what it's about. We're not taking nobody lightly. I don't care if we're 10 times taller than everybody else. I don't care. We need to be intent on knowing who we're playing, knowing what the tendencies are right now, and then attacking those. Not hypothetical stuff that we saw them do 7 months ago, 6 months ago, and so now we know he does. No, none of that works. You got to be detailed, and you got to be intent on what it is that you're doing and knowing what works for yourself. So I want the Lakers to do things that work for itself. If a guy is cold, sit him down. If a guy's leaving layups to be had out there, sit him down. If a guy's hot, feed him. I don't care what his name is. Feed him. That's the type of thing we need to be doing in the playoffs, in my opinion. And for goodness sakes, get the ball to Anthony Davis, man. Don't have Anthony Davis walk out here with less than 20 points tonight. I should be saying less than 40, but I temper my expectations when it comes to AD, especially since he's doing so much defensively and on the boards. He's been killing it. But I don't like the fact that he's an afterthought on my roster offensively. When I got guys shooting twice as much as him who ain't going to normally make twice as much as that, they're not going to make half of that. So that's what I want to say. LeBron James has made everybody happy in LA with how he performed except for me. I'm the only person who was livid about that game. I was livid. I don't want to see 14-3 shot ever again, Bron. I don't give a damn how great you are. That's bad for our team. That's 14 3-point shots, bro. Possessions that need to go to other players so that we can run a more cohesive basketball game, man. I can't stress it enough. If you're going to eat, what am I trying to say? If you're going to hit 8 of them, that's cool. But the 14 attempts is just going to always be a problem for me, man. It's going to always be a problem because I know that we are lacking the practice time for the continuity that we need for our teammates and all these guys to be running plays with one another. We don't do enough reps with one another to know one another. So when we do what it is that he did, we're leaning on the possibility of either working or not, which it usually may not. And then from there, we usually don't rebound those very well. They turn into baskets going the other way. So that's why I really need him to understand the importance of what it is I'm trying to express. It's not about whether or not I trust he can make 8 out of 14 again. It's that he attempts 14 shots, and those are slump shoulders for all of the other men. Slump shoulders, bro. It drives them crazy. It drives fans crazy if you're not going to hit him, and it turns us into a losing team. It turns defensive possessions that provide a lot of effort to obtain into wasted possessions on the other end that they turn around and have to play defense again. And that's another thing that team offensive players got to understand. You're deflating your other teammates because they have to work so hard on the defensive end to where they at least need a breath on the defensive end and maybe get the ball in their hands, do their thing, see the ball fall. All that stuff matters. When you come down and ego it up and put the crown on your head because you hit 14 shots, that's 14 times they had to live with the fact that they didn't have nothing to do with the possession, but had everything to do with the defense. And so that's what I want him to understand. That's what I want anybody and everybody to understand. Continuity matters. Just because you can do something don't mean you should. Just because you have a right don't mean you are right for doing it. So that's all I'm saying, man. Lakers got to tighten up. It's winning time. It's winning time. And every possession on both sides will be accounted for. The ones you don't take seriously, you will lose. The ones you do take seriously, chances are you will succeed in. It's that simple. Your possessions accumulate what the destination will ultimately be for us. If we're going to see Milwaukee or Celtics or whoever, it's going to be because we took possessions seriously. We took lineups seriously because we take possessions seriously, and we don't leave ourselves unnecessary vulnerabilities on the floor on both sides. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.